The controversy over Houston's Veterans Cemetery is going to court. Earlier this week, we reported that veterans and their families are angry after they were told that they could not use words like God at VA funerals. Dale Hurd has the story.
A court hearing is scheduled for next week in the suit of 3 veterans groups against the Department of Veterans Affairs and the director of the Houston National Cemetery, Arlene Ocasio, for religious hostility and unlawful censorship. This after the Houston National Cemetery banned the mention of God at funerals for vets. Nobleton Jones is a member of the VFW Honor Guard at the Houston VA Cemetery, told by Ocasio to stop mentioning God.
On March the 15th, she said that I could not say that the District Court ceremony jail, I could not say, we wish you and your family, that God grant you and your family grace, mercy, and peace. And that makes me feel small, even after I spent my time in the military, being able to fight for that right so that they would be able to say that.
The Department of Veterans Affairs has issued a statement saying the name of God or Jesus is not only allowed, it is freely spoken at VA national cemeteries across the country. And the VA repeated the substance of that claim in a letter to Texas Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison, obtained by CBN News. But the Liberty Institute's lead counsel, Kelly Shackelford, says the VA's denial contradicts what happened when the VA was first approached about the ban on the mention of God at Houston National Cemetery.
We sent a letter to the VA administration. We said, look, here's what's happened. This is a violation of the law. This went all the way to the highest, to their general counsel, who said, we're not changing our position. So it really left us with no choice. And the judge issued a very strong restraining order, the federal judge, saying the government cannot tell somebody how to pray.
And all we're asking is that the government make things right for us.
Houston National Cemetery Director Arlene Ocasio did not return our call requesting a comment. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
A federal judge has temporarily blocked a New York City law that forced crisis pregnancy centers there to reveal that they do not perform abortions. The American Center for Law and Justice went to court against the law. The ACLJ says it violates several constitutional rights of pro-life groups, forcing them to express views about abortion and contraception contrary to their beliefs and convictions. The court agreed, saying that the law violated the First Amendment right of free speech. C.C. Heil, senior counsel with the ACLJ, says the court clearly understood that this law punishes pro-life advocates. The city plans to appeal that ruling. There's even more pressure now on the deficit reduction talks in Washington. Moodys now says it may downgrade the government's credit rating. That news comes with word that the president walked out of heated debt limit talks last night. Heather Sells has that story.
The stalemate in Washington could have serious implications for millions of Americans, especially with the news that Moodys may downgrade the nation's credit rating.
I think it's fairly safe to say that the stock market would get hit, the bond market would get hit, the economy would get hit.
Moody's Investor Service says it could place the U.S. credit rating under review for a downgrade. Even if an agreement is reached to raise the debt ceiling, the ratings agency says it will downgrade the nation's credit unless the deal puts future borrowing and spending under control.
If these debt negotiations have convinced us of anything, it's that we can't leave it to politicians in Washington to make the difficult decisions they need to get our fiscal house in order.
President Obama is raising the stakes, walking out of negotiations after Eric Cantor suggested a short-term increase to the nation's credit limit. The president warned the legislators, don't call my bluff. Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke is warning that failure to raise the debt ceiling before the August 2nd deadline would be disastrous.
A huge financial calamity, which in turn would affect everybody.
And financial advisors are warning Americans to take a look at their own financial holdings.
Not a better time than now to make sure that you are not overexposed to any one particular area that might get hit.
The administration and lawmakers are back at it again today with just a little over 2 weeks until the August 2nd deadline. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Several Republican presidential candidates are refusing to sign a marriage pledge introduced by a conservative pro-family group. Mitt Romney was the first. Now Tim Pawlenty, John Huntsman, Newt Gingrich, and Herman Cain have also decided not to sign. The pledge comes from an Iowa-based group called the Family Leader. It asked candidates to support the Defense of Marriage Act, outlaw pornography, and ban gay marriage. Michelle Bachmann and Rick Santorum have signed the pledge. The Freedom from Religion Foundation is trying to cancel Texas Governor Rick Perry's prayer meeting. The organization filed a federal lawsuit Wednesday. It says the governor's call for a day of prayer violates the constitutional ban on the government establishment of a religion. Governor Perry has invited the president, the nation's governors, and Texas lawmakers to attend the August 6th prayer meeting in Houston. A spokesman for the event calls the lawsuit legal harassment. A judge has tossed out a lawsuit by a former New York City firefighter against the Ground Zero Mosque. Timothy Brown was trying to stop the building of the mosque near the World Trade Center. Brown was one of the firefighters who responded to the attacks on 9/11. The judge ruled that Brown has no legal standing to bring the suit. The American Center for Law and Justice says it plans to appeal the ruling. Critics call the project an insult to 9/11 victims. A lawyer for the developer calls it a, quote, victory for America. You can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.